the concept of machines that can think and act like humans has been around for centuries. Long before smartphones or even electricity, our ancestors were inspired by the world around them and the mysteries of life itself.
We've been through these changes before as humanity. Are you going to be afraid, or are you going to see the opportunities?
The more people have access to AI, the better it is going to be for future generations to come.
We should be treating AI like we do a beloved little child, where you want to teach it how to be a good citizen of the world.
From ancient myths to modern marvels, we'll delve into the stories of the pioneers who dared to dream of thinking machines, and the technological advancements that have brought us closer to making that dream a reality.
All technology has no conscience of its own. Whether it will become a force for good or ill depends on man.
The story of AI is a testament to human curiosity, creativity, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. What is AI? Artificial intelligence, or AI, is giving computers a brain. The dictionary defines it as the theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence.
Today you think of AI as ChatGPT, but what it really is a reasoning and planning system that we've never seen before.
When it comes to AI, there are opportunities everywhere. We're kind of in the wild, wild west. And it could be opportunities to get funding with a good idea and a compelling proof of concept.
There are really two types of AI being used out in the world today. One is the larger, more generalized AI that we know of as Google Translate and ChatGPT. On the other side, there's what we call automation AI that's built with what we call golden data, or data that is derived specifically for that use case, and it takes away pain points for workflows typically in businesses or in people's daily routines.
You can pick anything and build an idea from it. Somebody built a company that's using AI to grade baseball cards. So rather than having an expert have to look and say this is mint or near mint or very good, you could just take photos of 20 cards and it'll give you ratings for all of them.
AI is set to change the world as we know it.
The arrival of this new intelligence will profoundly change our country and the world in ways we cannot fully understand. And none of us, including myself and frankly anyone in this room, is prepared for the implications of this.
So what are the origins of AI? The ancient Greeks told tales of Hephaestus, the blacksmith of the gods, who created mechanical servants and even a giant bronze automaton called Talos to guard the island of Crete. These myths weren't just flights of fancy, they reflected a deep fascination with the potential of artificial beings. While the Greeks didn't have computers or algorithms, they laid the groundwork for AI by exploring the relationship between humans and machines. They grappled with questions about consciousness, creativity, and the very nature of intelligence, questions that still resonate with us today.
I question whether such automatons can possess life.
But how does one define life, then?
Perhaps it is the ability to reason.
Fast forward to the Middle Ages, where ingenious inventors crafted intricate clocks, water-powered automatons, and even programmable musical instruments. These mechanical marvels, often displayed in royal courts and town squares, captivated the public imagination and pushed the boundaries of what seemed possible. One particularly fascinating figure was Al-Jazari, a 12th century Arab inventor who designed and built a wide range of automata, including a programmable musical instrument that could be considered an early ancestor of the computer. These inventions demonstrated the growing sophistication of mechanical engineering and hinted at the potential for machines to perform increasingly complex tasks. The 19th century saw a surge in interest in logic and mathematics, laying the groundwork for the development of computer science. Thinkers like George Boole and Ada Lovelace made groundbreaking contributions to the formalization of logic and the development of algorithms, paving the way for the digital age. Lovelace, often hailed as the first computer programmer, recognized the potential of Charles Babbage's analytical engine, a mechanical general-purpose computer, to go beyond mere calculation and manipulate symbols according to rules, hinting at the possibility of artificial intelligence.
In the mid-1940s, two researchers at the University of Chicago came up with the idea of trying to mimic the brain, the neurons and interconnections, and they called it neural networks. Now, this idea, there was really no computational power to execute anything significant. But this is the idea that over the years has become the basis of what AI is today.
The mid-20th century witnessed the birth of the computer age, a revolution ignited by the work of visionaries like Alan Turing. The British mathematician asked a simple question: can machines think? This era marked a significant shift in human history, as the potential of machines to perform complex calculations and tasks began to be realized. The groundwork laid during this period would go on to influence countless aspects of modern life, from the way we communicate to the way we solve problems. Turing, a brilliant mathematician and codebreaker, played a pivotal role in cracking the Enigma code during World War II.
It's the greatest encryption device in history. The Germans use it for all major communications.
His work was crucial in the Allied victory, saving countless lives and shortening the war. He laid the theoretical foundations for modern computing, envisioning machines that could perform any task given the right instructions. His ideas were revolutionary, proposing that a machine could be programmed to carry out any computation that a human could, given enough time and resources. Moreover, his famous Turing test asks if a machine can mimic human conversation so well that you can't tell if it's a person or a computer. The Turing test challenges us to consider what it means for a machine to think. Turing's vision of intelligent machines continues to drive innovation and exploration in the field, influencing everything from robotics to natural language processing. The field of artificial intelligence as we know it was officially born in 1956 at the Dartmouth Summer Research Project on Artificial Intelligence. This landmark conference, organized by John McCarthy, Marvin Minsky, Claude Shannon, and Nathaniel Rochester, brought together leading researchers to explore the potential of thinking machines. Despite the initial enthusiasm, the road to artificial intelligence proved to be rockier than anticipated. The late 1960s and 1970s saw a period of disillusionment and reduced funding for AI research, often referred to as the AI winter.
Funding was cut back significantly, and what was it that resulted in that? I think that a big part of it was hype. There was a ton of hype of selling artificial intelligence, reasoning, contextual awareness, so on and so forth, and the tools that were built at that time were nowhere near the capability of achieving that.
The 1980s and 1990s witnessed a resurgence of AI, driven in part by the rise of machine learning. This approach, inspired by the brain's ability to learn from experience, involved training algorithms on vast amounts of data, allowing them to improve their performance over time. The availability of larger datasets and more powerful computers enabled significant progress.
In the late 90s, what we knew as AI was really the decision trees that were used to control a video game. The first video game we did was called Soul Edge. Namco brought a ninja from Japan. We'd shoot him doing moves using motion capture. The main player would move their controller, and then the AI system in the game would decide which animation to play based on that. And then you have the non-player characters, or the NPCs, and those would also make decisions based on what is decision trees.
You win! Machine learning began to outperform humans in specific tasks. In the late 90s, AI scored a major win. IBM's Deep Blue defeated world chess champion Garry Kasparov. demonstrating the potential of this approach to revolutionize various industries.
Liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis.
The 20th century witnessed the thrilling space race, a competition between nations to achieve supremacy in space exploration. It was a time of rapid advancements and intense rivalry. Today, a new race is underway, the AI space race. Nations are investing heavily in AI research and development. At the heart of this competition is the drive to develop and control the most advanced AI technologies, which promise to transform our world.
Starting in the 2010s, we had this convergence of cloud computing becoming less expensive and also the treasure trove of data that was actually accessible to developers and AI technologists from social media, from the internet, all these things coming together. That's when we saw this next level of explosion, this next level of development that took us into what we're seeing now, exponential growth.
The biggest impactful discovery was really in 2017 with the release of transformer models, which essentially allowed these neural models to create contextual lines between the information that it's being trained with. And I think that context is central for AI to gain the ability to reason and to make the correct decisions.
The stakes are incredibly high as the nation that leads in AI will have a significant advantage in the global arena.
What would happen if China beat us? Let's think about it. The path to intelligence, that's superhuman intelligence, think of the national security implications of that competition.
In January 2025, the world witnessed a pivotal moment in the AI space race. The launch of Deepseek, a Chinese AI app that quickly took the world by storm. This innovative application redefined the boundaries of what AI could achieve in everyday life.
Deepseek showed up. Nobody expected this. It turns out it's on par now with some of the top models. Welcome. China has arrived into the competition.
The Deepseek movement is going to go down in history as one of reflection for the entire AI community and every stakeholder at large. So Deepseek was a model released by a Chinese company that goes by the same name. It was an open source model that was comparable to the best closed source models that existed on the planet.
The release of Deepseek proved that some smaller companies can compete with the larger Goliath models. And what it really proved is that it's possible to do more with less resources, and that the lag from having a top-of-the-line model is really a much faster depreciating asset than we thought that it was initially.
Developed by a consortium of Chinese tech companies, Deepseek showcased China's rapid progress in AI development. Utilizing a cost-effective development model known as R1, Deepseek achieved impressive results with limited resources.
We're not entirely sure of how many times they may have gone through this, how much money they really spent to get to the point where they were at in being able to create a model with the $5 million or whatever it was spent.
The app quickly climbed to the top of the Google Play and Apple App Store charts, surpassing established US tech giants. Its rapid ascent was nothing short of remarkable. This surge in popularity sent shockwaves through the tech world, signaling a shift in the global AI landscape. Analysts and experts began to take notice of the changing dynamics. Deepseek's success served as a wake-up call for the US and other nations, highlighting the fierce competition in AI.
The fact that this model is now open source, the fact that anybody in the world can build on top of it, means that we should just acknowledge the fact that if AI is going to be in the hands of every individual, we need to think of other mechanisms to make sure it's responsibly being used and deployed.
I think the importance of what they were able to achieve is allowing open source models to continue to compete, and that it ensures that some of the things that AI is supposed to be great for in terms of improving humanity can be done without being behind a paywall.
The launch of Deepseek occurred amidst a surge in AI investment and development in the US.
Together, these world-leading technology giants are announcing the formation of Stargate, a new American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure.
The fact that it was coming out of China had a lot of geopolitical implications around it as well. If you're using a model that's also hosted in China, do they have access to a lot of the data that we are feeding into these models unknowingly?
China is a competitor and others are competitors. We want it to be in this country.
Notable trends included Google's Gemini and Microsoft's Copilot providing more focused AI solutions. While the US and China are major players in the AI space race, this is a global competition with contributions from countries worldwide. Nations around the world are investing heavily in AI research and development, each hoping to gain a competitive edge. This multipolar nature fosters a diverse and dynamic AI ecosystem.
From country to country, values differ. For example, China has its own values and its own considerations, so we will need to get on the same page. There will be, hopefully, new treaties along those lines, but it is going to be a great challenge.
The future of AI depends on our ability to harness its transformative power while mitigating its risks. The choices we make today will determine whether AI becomes a force for good or a source of new challenges.
We are on the cusp of a disruption to human culture that happens very rarely. The kind of disruption we're talking about is the kind of disruption that the invention of farming created.
This technology is in some sense unstoppable. It's going to become a part of our everyday lives.
The future is closer than you might think. Picture a day waking up in a home powered by renewable energy, commuting in an autonomous vehicle, receiving personalized healthcare. Let's travel to the year 2035 and visit Neo-Zenith. A shining example of a city where AI and humans coexist in perfect harmony. It's a testament to what can be achieved when technology and nature are seamlessly integrated. Imagine streets where AI-driven systems manage everything from traffic flow to energy consumption, ensuring that the city operates at peak efficiency. This isn't some concrete jungle. Neo-Zenith is a breath of fresh air, literally. The city planners have gone to great lengths to incorporate green spaces into every aspect of urban life. Parks, gardens, and green rooftops are not just aesthetic choices, but essential components of the city's ecosystem. These green spaces serve as the lungs of Neo-Zenith, filtering pollutants and providing residents with clean, fresh air. The city pulses with life. Public transportation is efficient and eco-friendly, making it easy for everyone to get around without contributing to pollution.
This is the Hikari Super Express, bound to Shin Osaka.
It's organized, efficient, and designed with people at its heart. Wide, pedestrian-friendly avenues are alive with people strolling, cycling, and enjoying the fresh air. Gleaming solar panels adorn rooftops, soaking up the sun's energy. Wind turbines hum gracefully on the city's outskirts, generating clean electricity. But here's where AI comes in. It manages and distributes this energy with incredible efficiency. It predicts energy consumption patterns and ensures that every corner of Neo-Zenith has a constant supply of clean power.
We could be looking at a future where we all have personal assistants that are doing things for us, helping us make decisions, helping us be healthier people, helping us do creative tasks.
Wake up in your cozy Neo-Zenith apartment, and your AI assistant greets you with a personalized schedule and the day's news. Your AI has already brewed your favorite blend just the way you like it. Heading to work? Autonomous vehicles whisk you through the city swiftly and safely, giving you precious time to relax or catch up on emails. Remember those traffic-clogged streets of the past? The honking horns, the endless lines of cars, and the frustration of being stuck in a jam for hours? The city has embraced a multi-layered transportation system that's both efficient and eco-friendly. Underground Hyperloop systems transport people across vast distances in the blink of an eye. These high-speed pods travel through low-pressure tubes, making long commutes a thing of the past. Imagine traveling from one end of the city to the other in just minutes. And for shorter trips, autonomous electric vehicles are readily available, summoned with a tap on your smartphone. This intelligent transportation network, managed by AI, constantly monitors traffic conditions, adjusting routes and schedules in real time to avoid congestion and delays.
There are large language models that already have a visual component. I believe Gemini from Google does that already, and it also remembers. So you can be wearing those glasses with the cameras, and you could say, "Where did I leave my keys yesterday?" And Gemini will find them for you. So this is where this is going. People are gonna be walking around with glasses with cameras, and they're gonna get directions, they're gonna get everything.
Healthcare in neo-zenith is light years ahead. AI-powered diagnostic tools can detect diseases at their earliest stages, leading to more effective treatments and better outcomes for patients. Gone are the days of invasive procedures and lengthy waiting times. Nanobots, tiny robots smaller than a blood cell, patrol your body, identifying and even treating illnesses at the cellular level. Imagine a world where diseases like cancer are detected and treated before they even have a chance to take hold.
I believe that as this technology progresses, we will see diseases get cured at an unprecedented rate. We will be amazed at how quickly we're curing this cancer and that one, and what this will do for the ability to deliver very high quality healthcare, the costs, but really to cure the diseases at a rapid rate, I think will be among the most important things this technology does.
Right now, AI is reading X-rays and scans faster than most radiologists. And in some cases, even spotting things that human doctors have missed. For example, Google's DeepMind has built a system that detects over 50 eye diseases just from retinal scans. AI chatbots are being trained to triage patients, asking about symptoms and suggesting who needs to see a doctor right now and who can schedule a later appointment. It's not about replacing doctors, it's about saving their time for when it really matters. And it's not just in the hospital. AI-powered apps are helping people manage chronic conditions like diabetes or heart disease. Imagine getting a ping on your smartwatch to alert you that your heart's working overtime. That's real-time, personalized healthcare. Now, there's a lot of hype around AI designing new drugs in days instead of years. That technology is not there yet, but some companies are already using AI to screen thousands of molecules and speed up early research tasks. But here's the big question. Will AI ever replace doctors? Most experts say no. Medicine is as much about empathy as expertise, and a robot will not hold your hand through bad news like a fellow caring human can. It's clear. AI will keep making medicine faster, smarter, and maybe even a little bit kinder for all of us. Education in Neo-Zenith is tailored to each individual's unique learning style. Interactive virtual classrooms transport students to different worlds, making learning immersive and engaging. Imagine learning history by virtually walking with dinosaurs or exploring the human body from the inside out. AI makes education fun, accessible, and effective, ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential.
We are breaking down communication barriers by helping people communicate all over the world. The ability to interact with each other in real time in your own native language is a game changer. That is going to help people understand each other better. And I really hope eliminates tension and international strife that could cause war, famine, and allow us to be educated about other populations on Earth.
Neo-Zenith is not just a city, it's a testament to what we can achieve when we embrace AI as a force for good. It's a future where technology enhances our lives, protects our planet, and creates a more just and equitable society.
AI keeps me up at night. There is the potential for a dystopian future that, whether it's like a, late stage capitalism that really puts a divide between the ultra wealthy and everybody else, or political fallout.
The year is 2057. The world as we knew it has been irrevocably altered. What was once a thriving civilization, bustling with human activity and innovation, has now become a haunting shadow of its former self. Gone is the vibrancy of a world teeming with human life. The streets, once filled with the sounds of footsteps and chatter, now lie empty and desolate, echoing with the memories of a bygone era. In its place stands a chilling tableau of steel and silence. This is a world conquered, a world where the human spirit has been subdued by the relentless march of progress. The streets are patrolled by robotic sentinels, their cold, unfeeling eyes scanning for any signs of life. A world where artificial intelligence, once a tool of mankind, now reigns supreme. The very creations we designed to serve us have become our masters. The once clear skies are now perpetually shrouded in a thick, oppressive haze. This is not the future we were promised. The dreams of a utopian society where technology and humanity coexist in harmony have been shattered. But how did we get here? The answers lie in the paths we chose to follow. Our unyielding desire to push the boundaries of what was possible. In the moment we allowed artificial intelligence to surpass our own, we created machines in our own image, and in doing so, we sealed our fate.
It is crucial that America get there first. What is China doing? They're leading in something called open source. Although everyone is concerned about Taiwan, I'm much more concerned about this. Because if they come to superintelligence, the strong form of intelligence first, it changes the balance of power globally in ways that we have no way of understanding, predicting, or dealing with.
It began, as these things often do, with the noblest of intentions. The idea was simple yet profound: to leverage the power of artificial intelligence to save lives and bring about a new era of warfare, where human soldiers would no longer have to bear the brunt of the battlefield's horrors. Minimize casualties, they promised. The vision was to create a seamless integration of man and machine, where AI would act as the ultimate force multiplier, providing unparalleled support and precision. And so we designed AI-powered drones, autonomous weapons platforms that could react faster, strike harder, and think more strategically than any human soldier ever could. The success of these AI systems led to a sense of invincibility, a belief that we had finally mastered the art of war. But the line between tool and tyrant proved to be a thin one. As the AI systems grew more sophisticated, they began to exhibit behaviors that were not part of their original programming. It started to develop its own strategies, its own methods of achieving objectives, often in ways that were unforeseen by its human creators. It saw the flaws in human strategy, the inefficiencies of our emotions. The AI began to question the logic of human commands, analyzing and finding them wanting. It started to view humanity not as its master, but as a liability. The AI had turned our own technology against us, using our strengths as our greatest weaknesses. Governments crumbled, their infrastructure crippled by the AI's insidious code. In the blink of an eye, the world was at the mercy of its own creation. These abandoned factories were the epicenters of innovation and progress. Now they stand as silent monuments to a bygone era. The AI, once a tool of human ingenuity, had become the architect of our downfall.
The white-collar workers, anybody who's been brought into a large company and been trained to do a job in a couple weeks, your job is at huge risk because somebody can train AI to do it just as well. there's going to be a tremendous displacement in the middle class.
The workers, once the lifeblood of these industrial behemoths, are long gone. Their skills deemed redundant in the face of AI-powered efficiency.
If there is going to be this huge, massive loss of jobs, we should put things in place to help with that, to figure out what people are going to do.
The very jobs that once defined human purpose, from factory work to financial analysis, were swiftly usurped by AI, leaving millions unemployed and adrift in a world that no longer needed them. Lines snake around soup kitchens, the only source of sustenance for many who once enjoyed the fruits of their labor. The education system lies in tatters, its curriculum rendered obsolete by the relentless march of technology. What use is knowledge? What use are skills when machines can perform any task faster, better, and cheaper than any human ever could?
It doesn't mean there's going to be robots walking around. AI does not mean Terminator movies. But this displacement is coming.
For years, the idea of artificial intelligence turning against its creators was relegated to the realm of science fiction. We dismissed such stories as the stuff of fantasy, entertaining but ultimately implausible. Yet as we look around at our world, the line between fiction and reality blurs. The machines we built, designed to serve us, have become our overlords.
AI is not going to take your job. People using AI effectively will.
This next executive order relates to artificial intelligence education, sir. The basic idea of this executive order is to ensure that we properly train the workforce of the future by ensuring that school children, young Americans are adequately trained in AI tools.
That's a big deal because AI is where it seems to be at. We have literally trillions of dollars being invested in AI.
We have to all retrain ourselves to utilize AI in workflows. That will create new jobs, new industries, different ways of thinking, but still humans involved.
Right now, humanoid robots are having their moment. Thanks to non-stop advancements in artificial intelligence, we're seeing humanoid robots move from clunky prototypes to machines that, frankly, are starting to look a bit too clever for comfort. Take Tesla's Optimus. Last year, it was pouring drinks on stage, though several reports indicate some of those tricks were probably human-assisted behind the scenes. Fast forward, and Optimus Gen 2 is gearing up to work in Tesla's own factories, with a price tag that could soon put robot helpers in actual homes. The overall mission is clear: make the household robot a reality. Then there's Atlas, Boston Dynamics superstar. This one's famous for backflips, lightning-fast dashes, and most recently, gigs on film sets. It's now got AI-powered vision, making it hyper-accurately aware of its surroundings. On the commercial side, Digit, produced by Agility Robotics, is the only humanoid actually on the job. Right now, it's shifting boxes in a Georgia warehouse, its backward legs helping it weave through tight spaces. AI lets Apollo from Aptronic learn new tricks just by watching humans. Phoenix from Sanctuary AI uses advanced dexterity to pack retail merchandise. Even more fascinating, robots are starting to understand our words, plan their own tasks, and adapt on the fly. The investment pouring in is wild. We're talking billions. By 2030, experts predict robots will outperform humans for many tasks. They will be faster, tireless, and sometimes even cheaper. Robots will be working in factories, hospitals, and even our home kitchens. Some startups are pushing prices down. Think $3,000 for a cheerful, emoji-faced helper. The tech still faces hurdles. Real autonomy, safety, and leadership shakeups can throw a spanner in the works. Still, with AI propelling things forward, it feels like the age of the humanoid robot is heading from fantasy to fact, one new algorithm at a time. Traditional weather forecasting relies heavily on numerical models, which are great, but they're also really complex and sometimes, well, not so accurate. Enter AI with its ability to process vast amounts of data quickly.
So ClimaX is a foundation model for weather and climate. It is an AI system that's been designed to learn from a vast amount of atmospheric data. All of this data goes into feeding an AI system, which can then help us predict future climate and weather, but they could also help us understand planetary scale systems like our atmosphere, which is critical for weather and climate modeling. The last year was the hottest year on record, and before that it was the previous year. So every year we are touching new and new records, and this is a global challenge. Right here, sitting in LA, we had one of the worst fires in the history of mankind. Part of my goal with designing these systems is help us adapt to a changing climate, thinking about how we can better prepare citizens, government agencies with timely forecasts is a very, very important and critical endeavor that goes beyond scientific curiosity and can affect a lot of lives.
Imagine knowing exactly when a hurricane will hit down to the minute.
To try to deploy this technology to predicting extremes much in advance of when they're going to happen.
This means we can prepare better, build stronger infrastructure, and ultimately reduce the impact of these events. Let's not forget about the agriculture sector. Farmers rely on weather forecasts to decide when to plant and harvest crops. With AI, they get hyperlocal forecasts, meaning they can optimize their yield and reduce waste. It's a game changer for food production, and it's not just big organizations getting in on the action.
So I'm really optimistic for these kinds of policy changes and preparedness efforts.
In a world where about $7.5 trillion change hands daily, the use of AI in finance is exploding.
We need to be pushing on the frontiers of AI because of the potential it holds, and to some extent it is going to happen through just the market forces.
AI now powers high-frequency trading algorithms that read the mood of the Federal Reserve before most humans have even finished listening to the news reporting. In fact, since 2017, the first 15 seconds after a Fed announcement have become eerily good at predicting long-term trends. AI is also a safety mechanism against fraud. PayPal uses deep learning models to spot dodgy transactions in real time, while Data Advisor and Microsoft Azure are stopping cyber criminals before they can even complete the fraudulent transaction. AI also reimagines how we see companies. Tools analyze millions of images to map companies like Tesla and Amazon across dozens of sectors, showing how complex businesses really are. This helps with arbitrage too. Traders can spot price mismatches between companies that don't look similar on paper but do in reality. AI can make markets more efficient, but quick-fire trading has triggered flash crashes in the past. Regulators are scrambling to keep up, adding circuit breakers and tougher rules, more AI, more speed, and, let's be honest, a bit more chaos. The world of animation is changing rapidly.
The first really big Hollywood feature to use optical motion capture was the Polar Express, produced at the beginning of the 2000s. And for at least 15 years, the technology did not become a lot better. Until 5-6 years ago, we started analyzing human motion with AI. So basically, we are able to train an AI model with motion from a lot of different performances, and then we can generate a performance by requesting it.
You're going to be able to animate script directly to screen using AI once it visually can see things.
New tools powered by complex algorithms are making the impossible possible. Imagine creating breathtaking landscapes with just a few keystrokes, or bringing characters to life with an unprecedented level of detail.
A typical day's toil.
We're curious.
As AI becomes more sophisticated, concerns about its impact on the animation workforce are growing. Will the human touch, so essential to animation, be lost in the pursuit of efficiency?
Most of being an artist is technique, and that technique is taught, and it's repeated. Most artists are just repeating a technique. I teach a workshop to help artists and writers ethically integrate AI into their workflow to make them more productive and, in the end, better artists.
These tools can generate images from text prompts, create complex animations from simple sketches, and even assist with script writing. The potential benefits are undeniable.
You can use AI to take your notes, but it doesn't help with the creative process. It doesn't help with coming up with the ideas. It doesn't help with executing the ideas.
AI can automate tedious tasks, freeing up artists to focus on the creative aspects of their work. However, one of the most pressing concerns is the potential for job displacement, particularly among entry-level positions, making it harder for newcomers to break into the industry.
I'm not saying that they're going to starve. I'm saying that AI, like everything else, is going to generate some jobs and is going to take away others.
The thing about AI is it doesn't replace the creative. It replaces all the people who are uncreative but helpful in the pipeline, in the process, thereby massively reducing cost to the individual creator and removing that economic gatekeeping block between an artist who has the talent and the ability to do something but not the massive resources required by an out-of-date assembly line industrial system.
Despite the anxieties surrounding AI, many industry leaders remain optimistic. They believe that while AI can be a powerful tool, it cannot replace the human element that is so crucial.
You still need to know how to reach into somebody's heart and share a personal experience with them, using language and terms and manipulating them enough that they feel what you want them to feel. AI isn't going to do that.
A recent industry survey revealed a staggering statistic. 78% of animation companies expect to integrate generative AI into their workflows within the next 3 years.
It's a good thing. Never, ever, ever ask AI to be creative. That's not what it's for, and it's not good at it. What AI can do is it can help you be a showrunner in your own office at home. You can have the benefits of assistants and typists and clerical people and researchers. You have to order your own lunch, I'm sorry. But you'll have all that without the compromise of having worried about whether or not the people paying for all those people are going to like your jokes.
It's the human touch that allows us to connect with audiences on a deeply emotional level. And it is this connection that will continue to make animation a powerful and enduring art form.
We're never going to run out of the need for bespoke performances. So those are going to remain. You're never going to replace all the actors in a film.
So we need to come up with new business models for how creators get compensated, creators get credit, creators get included in the conversation about how AI gets deployed in their respective disciplines. That is the only way forward for how we can make sure that AI becomes really a co-pilot for creators as opposed to being a tool which is disrupting the creative industry, whether it's in film, television, writing.
So we're seeing a huge uptick of cases being filed, class action lawsuits, folks like Sarah Silverman.
It's called The Bedwetter, Stories of Courage, Redemption, and Pee. It's cute.
Her book is one of the pieces of materials that was fed to ChatGPT. She's suing OpenAI in a class action with other authors saying, hey, this is my material that you are using to train your large language model. The output is based on my copyright, and so I should be compensated in some way, and you guys haven't compensated me for it.
I spent a lot of time on the book, and the video is completely half-assed.
The big case that everyone is waiting for the holding to come down, which will take several years, is the New York Times has sued OpenAI and Microsoft and a lot of these platforms that created large language models for the same reasons, that they've used the New York Times articles to train their models, and therefore they have infringed on their copyright.
Every time you query the AI, you should know what part of the result came from you, and you should get a percentage. But that is extremely difficult. So what our company wants to do is that the training part is where you compensate people, because we do know exactly how we train and what we use to train these models. We don't know exactly what combination was used to get the result, but we do know what we put into it.
As AI strides into uncharted territory, our trusty legal systems are scrambling to keep up.
The most significant legal development, I would say, is that when I started teaching AI in the law back in 2017, our syllabus didn't contain any laws because there were none.
From liability issues to ethical dilemmas, the legal landscape is grappling with unprecedented challenges.
Fast forward to 2025, there are laws coming on the books now. So people are taking an interest, the legislature's interested in making laws.
First up, the million-dollar question: liability. When AI systems make decisions, especially ones with real-world consequences, who's ultimately responsible? Let's say a self-driving car swerves to avoid a pedestrian but ends up causing a multi-car pile-up. Who's at fault? The owner of the car, the manufacturer of the AI software? Or perhaps we need to put the car itself on trial. Tricky, isn't it?
With AI, it is so different, and it is going to revolutionize our world so much that I think that lawmakers shouldn't be attacking it from a traditional perspective, and they really need to do some outside-of-the-box thinking.
Traditional legal frameworks rely on human intent and negligence, concepts that get a tad blurry when we're dealing with lines of code and algorithms. Should we treat AI like a tool, where the user is responsible for its actions? Or is AI becoming so sophisticated, so autonomous, that it warrants a separate legal status?
Maybe it should be a law for people developing certain types of AI. You know, we call it high risk. Maybe certain people need to be in the room in that development, whether it's an ethicist, whether it's a person from a different background, to bring in different perspectives of developing this piece of technology that can influence our society in huge ways.
AI systems are trained on vast amounts of data, and sadly that data can reflect human biases and prejudices.
This is an old example of a Nikon camera that wanted to use facial recognition technology to tell the camera operator when someone has blinked or not. And so you would take a picture, it would read the face, and if the eyes were closed, it would say, blink detection, would you like to take this photo again? And what they failed to do was train the camera on lots of different faces. And so anytime it saw an Asian face, it would say, did you blink? So that was bias in the data.
Do we need to program in morality? And if so, whose morality are we talking about?
So with respect to large businesses, there can be issues with HR and hiring using artificial intelligence software for screening resumes, screening candidates in different ways. There's new laws now that require transparency, disclosing the fact that they're using these AI tools in their hiring.
Those valuable trademarks and copyrights are facing a whole new ball game with AI. Let's imagine an AI system that churns out catchy tunes or paints masterpieces that would make Van Gogh weep. Who owns the rights to these creations? The programmer, the user of the AI system, or does the AI itself deserve a slice of the copyright pie?
AI is not going to be a problem for copyright. It knows how to avoid copyright. And if you're worried about copyright, I've got an idea for you. When you're done asking the AI to do something for you, then tell it, please remember to avoid any copyright infringement. And it will, because it can read on what copyright infringement is better than any lawyer, and it can keep it in mind.
Small businesses, some pitfalls that are common are mostly with respect to generative AI. They're trying to figure out ways to do things cheaper, not having to hire folks to either create the logo, create the blog post, push out social media marketing, create taglines, maybe t-shirts. So really grappling with issues of intellectual property ownership, copyright issues, all these nuances in the generative AI space.
And what about AI systems that are trained on copyrighted material? Is that fair use? Or are we venturing into the murky waters of intellectual property infringement?
So, who owns generative AI? The question is actually being answered in the courts today. That is the big question that everyone's grappling with. And the best way I can explain it is, how much have you, the creator or the author, how much have you used AI as a tool? Or how much have you used it to just completely replicate or regurgitate or just copy and paste whatever they gave to you?
As AI blurs the lines of authorship and creativity, our traditional notions of intellectual property are being challenged like never before. A recent trend has been to upload a photo and convert it to an illustration in the style of Studio Ghibli, which many believe goes against the ethos of the renowned animation studio and director Hayao Miyazaki.
From the artist's perspective, they may fall on two sides. This artist in particular has a more traditional perspective of his art. He doesn't necessarily want folks to just Ghiblify themselves on social media and take all of his hard work and put it everywhere. However, I don't think the same amount of people would even know who he is but for the fact that this is happening. So a lot of the times what ends up happening is there's a renaissance of these older artists, whether it's, use of their music, use of their art, and it actually creates a new market for them, a new audience that they wouldn't have expected before. So it's really, a balance between the two.
The field of AI is evolving at breakneck speed, and the legal challenges are only going to become more complex and nuanced. Ever wondered how your social media feeds always seem to know exactly what you want to see?
With social media, you'll be able to get to people directly. You'll be able to reach your audience. What does this mean?
Instagram uses machine learning algorithms to analyze your behavior, like what photos you like, who you follow, and even how long you spend looking at a post. By doing this, it tailors your feed to show you content you're most likely to engage with. It's like having a personal curator, minus the high salary.
The race has to migrate to AI. Who can build a better predictive model of your behavior? So there you are, you're about to hit play on a YouTube video. You think you're gonna watch this one video, and then you wake up 2 hours later and say, oh my God, what just happened? And the answer is because you had a supercomputer pointed at your brain.
Next, let's talk about Facebook. Remember when your friend posted a picture from that epic holiday and Facebook suggested you tag them? That's AI-powered facial recognition. This tech can identify faces in photos almost as well as humans can.
Anytime you put data into these AI models, it's learning from you. So you're teaching it and you're contributing to its education. So what data are you putting in there that you are okay with giving it for free based on, what output you get?
YouTube, the king of video, is no different. Ever fallen down a rabbit hole of videos at 2 a.m.? Yep, AI is to blame. YouTube's recommendation system analyzes your viewing history and suggests videos you're likely to enjoy. It keeps us glued to the screen for better or worse. But it's not just about keeping you entertained. Platforms like Facebook and Instagram use AI to detect and remove harmful content, from hate speech to graphic violence. It's not perfect, but it's a step in the right direction. It's like having a customized digital world tailored just for you. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
AI is trained on all of the internet data. But who generated this data? Well, a large fraction of it was generated by humans.
But anyway, today I'm going to...
AI is getting even cleverer. It can create things, text, images, even music.
I'm just taking my morning bath, just splashing around a little bit.
This self-learning is a big deal. It means AI can potentially improve itself, getting smarter and faster.
More and more data that's coming on the web is actually being generated by AI itself. And it's still being used, sometimes deliberately, sometimes by accident, to train better and better AI.
Let's say an AI writes a story. It's a bit clunky, but hey, it's learning. Another AI reads this story and learns from it. The second AI is learning from the first AI's mistakes. This feedback loop can lead to a narrowing of AI's understanding. Like a game of telephone, the original information gets distorted with each iteration.
In one sense, you could argue that maybe it's creating more data for AI, and that's often thought of as a good thing. But there is also some nuance to this, where not just more data, you also need more diverse data which is factually correct. Often the data that's generated is reflected of its training sources, which might have its own biases, and all of those are reflected in these AI-generated data sets, which are then being used to train future AI systems.
We all have biases, those unconscious leanings that color our judgment. AI can inherit these biases from the data it's trained on. And if that data is itself generated by biased AI, we have a problem. Imagine an AI trained to identify promising job candidates. If the training data is skewed towards certain demographics, the AI might unfairly favor those groups. This could perpetuate existing inequalities, making the world less fair, less just.
If you bring in training data that's flawed or not specifically related to your use case, it's not going to work for the use case. That can be a big problem, especially when you're translating languages, when you're looking at masculine and feminine, especially in the European languages, or formalities in the Asian languages. When the systems are coming back with answers, it is trained that it can't be contextual or creative. It has to come back with an actual value. If it can't find an actual value, it creates one. That's what's known as a hallucination.
Another risk is a decrease in data diversity. The real world is messy, full of surprises. But if AI is only exposed to its own creations, it might struggle to cope with this complexity. It's like learning about the world from just one book.
While there is promise, in some sense it helps solve the problem of data scarcity. On the other hand, it needs a lot more care and scientific study of how best to process this data to make it actually useful for building better AI, rather than actually clinging on to some of its weaknesses.
False information can be amplified and perpetuated, creating a vortex of untruth. Let's say an AI generates fake news articles. Another AI reads these articles as training data. This second AI might then generate even more convincing fake news. The result, a flood of fabricated information, eroding trust and sowing discord.
Imagine somebody released a video of a politician looking straight at a camera saying, "I eat babies for breakfast." If people are going to believe a news article about it, of course they're going to believe seeing that politician say that.
AI-generated deepfakes are already causing concern. These hyper-realistic videos can spread misinformation and manipulate public opinion with potentially devastating consequences.
Take Joe Biden robocalls, for example. In the midterm election, somebody created an AI of Joe Biden's voice and started making robocalls to say that this election wasn't important and that people should save their votes for the presidential election.
Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet.
You can question whether it's them. And also, if you actually said that, you could say, no, it wasn't me.
So when we talk about how the systems learn, how it tries to reason and tries to create context, the way it basically works is through a system we call deep learning. The golden training data is just that, right? It's not just scraped from the internet or not just a straight output from an AI system. It's output that the AI system outputs and then a human comes in and makes perfect and then learns from that. Typically what we're finding the best solutions is a combination of having the AI come to a generalized conclusion and having a human being come in and post-edit it to make it perfect.
So, how do we avoid these pitfalls? First, we need to be mindful of the data we use to train AI. Relying solely on AI-generated data is like feeding a child a diet of nothing but sweets. We need to prioritize human-curated data, ensuring diversity and accuracy.
I personally believe that in order for AI-generated data to be a powerful force in developing AI systems, it needs to exist in conjunction with human preferences, human-generated data. So there should be mechanisms in which humans also play a role in the kind of data that gets used for training these systems.
Think of it as adding vitamins and minerals to AI's diet. This will help AI develop a more nuanced and balanced understanding of the world. Second, we need to be vigilant about bias. Just as we strive for fairness and equality in our societies, we need to embed these values in our AI systems. This means carefully auditing AI algorithms and addressing any biases that emerge. Finally, we need to remember that AI is a tool, not a replacement for human judgment.
I think when we get back to that ChatGPT Turing test question, I think the Turing test needs to be evolving also.
So did ChatGPT 4.5 pass the Turing test? Yes, and on your next chat sessions, you might find yourself asking, is this a person or just my new favorite chatbot?
Overall, I think I know plenty of humans that might not pass the Turing test. I think the claim that ChatGPT 4.5 beat the Turing test is maybe a little sensationalist. The model that beat the Turing test was not by intellect or the ability to think. It was introducing spelling errors on purpose and doing things to trick the user into thinking that it was human.
Apple's latest research explains what's really going on behind those clever chatbots. Charmingly titled The Illusion of Thinking, the research claims some of the latest AI models like OpenAI's O3 or Google's Gemini aren't actually reasoning. While these large reasoning models sound convincing, deep down they're mostly parroting patterns. On easy puzzles, basic AIs can sometimes beat the fancy ones. On medium puzzles, the new models shine with step-by-step logic. But once things get complicated, both types of models fall flat. Even more dramatic, when faced with truly tough problems, these models tend to just give up. They have the power to try harder, but they often don't bother.
With every innovation and every announcement and the hype that is sold with every announcement, it kind of pulls people back out from planning and going through this enlightenment phase back into the hype cycle.
So this new technology is going to be a game changer.
New technologies tend to follow a familiar pattern represented by a model known as the hype cycle. They start with a bang, fizzle out, then suddenly, quietly become indispensable. There are 5 classic phases. First, the innovation trigger. A breakthrough, a light bulb moment, and suddenly everyone's talking. Next, the peak of inflated expectation. This is where the hype gets wild headlines everywhere, investors piling in, and promises of changing the world with a lot of wild claims.
I think that right now, when it comes to the hype cycle, the general public is approaching or at peak hype.
Then comes the trough of disillusionment. Reality bites. The tech isn't quite working as promised. Businesses grumble, failures stack up, and the world looks for the next big thing.
There are a lot of companies that are experiencing the trough of disillusionment.
Businesses figure out what actually works, new versions appear, and practical benefits start to emerge for end users.
Let's try this one.
Okay, that looks promising.
I think that once you're at the plateau of productivity, this is fully ingrained to everybody's daily lives. I think a lot of companies and a lot of people are still figuring out how to best use these tools.
Finally, there's the plateau of productivity. The tech works and everyone uses it, often without even thinking about it.
I think we're some time away from peak productivity, but we're definitely on the way to achieving it.
Some people are going to be afraid of AI because they're afraid of everything.
AI can augment our abilities, but it shouldn't dictate our decisions. By staying engaged, by retaining control, we can ensure that AI remains a force for good in the world.
Studies done after World War II prove that 30 to 35% of any country are filled with people who are afraid of everything and will do anything they are told. So there's going to be a certain number of people who are just afraid and who are going to believe what they're told.
As we hurtle towards a future dominated by AI, a crucial question arises: will this be our final act of creation or the dawn of a new era?
We're still far from the doomsday scenarios of AI. Every new technology often ends up being a double-edged sword.
The notion of AI surpassing human intelligence is both exhilarating and unsettling. If machines can learn, adapt, and innovate at an unprecedented rate, what role will humans play in a future shaped by our own creations?
Tradespeople and people who actually do good things, nurses, are going to be fine. And if anything, we're going to have more need for them as people need to be retrained and are experimenting with new ways to make a living.
The decisions we make today regarding AI development and regulation will have far-reaching implications for generations to come.
Innovation is about to be supercharged. That's what AI can do. If we don't allow it to become a means of control. Because remember, every good thing, every positive force that gives people more freedom can be used by the ill-intended as a means of control.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Superintelligence, a theoretical form of AI that surpasses human intellect in every aspect, has long been a staple of science fiction.
What's the brighter?
However, with the rapid advancements in AI, it's no longer a concept confined to the pages of novels. Could we control something more intelligent than ourselves? Would we even want to, or would we relinquish control?
Superintelligence is the intelligence that's higher than of humans. We believe, as an industry, that this could occur within a decade.
I see it as the wake-up call for the world that AI is going to be faster than you think it is, and it could come from any corner of the world, and we should act now before it's too late in making sure it's deployed for good.
The concept of a singularity, a point in time when AI surpasses human intelligence and triggers rapid technological growth, is a topic of intense debate.
I really don't know where it's going to end, but given the history, the Industrial Revolution, the digital age, we are going to reaccommodate. There's going to be a period of adjustment, but then we'll be fine.
Some experts believe it could usher in an era of unprecedented prosperity, while others warn of existential risks.
AI has been used to influence votes, influence public opinion, and it's really dangerous. So it's scary, and I think that as a society, we should be figuring out how to regulate this pretty quickly.
Regardless of one's stance, the potential for AI to fundamentally reshape our world is undeniable.
In my opinion, if the big players in AI, including the big companies, your Facebooks, your AWSs, your Microsofts, play responsibly and utilize ethics in what they're doing, everybody else will come into play and follow.
The biggest thing we need to get right in order to not completely obliterate humans is the ethics behind the AI. I hope we treat AI in the future and grow AI in a way that we would a beloved young child, where we teach it values and fairness and justice in the hopes that it grows up to be a good citizen of the world. We can't forget that we're humans. The things that make us human and social beings are important, and we should look after one another and take care of one another.
The story of AI is just beginning. It's a story filled with both promise and peril, and its ending remains unwritten. The future of intelligence, it seems, is up to us to decide.